If you are overwhelmed by all the fuss about LUFS and loudness penalties from streaming services, then I have the best advice for you. Just don't give a f. Hi, I'm Stefan from Mix66, and in this video I will explain to you why you shouldn't care about the loudness penalties applied from streaming services. I've got asked many times how loud should you master your music. Nowadays, when all streaming platforms have different target levels for loudness. For example, Spotify has -14 LUFS, YouTube has -13 LUFS, and so on. Some producers even started to make a separate master for every single streaming platform. I don't think that is necessary because A, you lose time printing unnecessary masters, and B, you are not making your music any better. Many genres, especially the heavy ones such as rock and metal, just sound better when they are mastered louder. So let's say at -8 LUFS instead of -14 LUFS, which is the Spotify target. That is due to some aggression that gets added by the limiting, and also it is some force of habit. We are just used to hear heavy music mastered loud. Just don't care about LUFS and loudness penalties from streaming services and master your music as loud as you think it sounds good. When mastering for streaming platforms, I don't care about LUFS. I care much more about the headroom. So I always leave at least 1 dB of headroom when mastering for streaming services. Personally, I always make 2 masters. One for streaming platforms with 1 dB of headroom and the second one for CD with -0.1 or something dB of headroom. There's just no need for separate masters for every single streaming platform. By making just one master for all streaming platforms, you have less worry, you lose less time, and you get the same quality. Now let's dive deeper into the discussion about headroom, because I think that is the really important thing when mastering for online platforms. Spotify recommends that your true peaks are below -1 dB full scale, or if your master is really loud, even -2 dB full scale. And I've made experience that this is true. I have made this mistake by myself. I have sent a master to Spotify where the true peaks were -0.1, so way too loud. The result was that now the songs are a bit quieter than the rest on Spotify. Why does that happen? Well, Spotify applies an algorithm to your music which encodes your music. If your peaks are too loud, then this encoding introduces distortion, and distortion adds up to the perceived loudness. You might not hear it, but this distortion adds loudness to your song. So the loudness algorithm from Spotify thinks that this song is even louder. So what happens? Your song will be quieter on Spotify. This is unfortunately what happened to me with one master I did in the past. It is so important that I want to say it once again. Don't care about LUFS, care about your headroom. Leave at least -1 dB of headroom, so make sure the output of your final limiter is set to -1 dB and that your limiter is set to true peak limiting. I think every mastering limiter has this option, so use it. Before I wrap up this video, I want to give you 2 more tips when mastering for Spotify. The first thing is, loudness algorithms used by online streaming platforms don't have a high cut filter. What does that mean for you? If your track has much information above 20 kHz, so above the audible spectrum, then also this energy will get measured by the loudness algorithms. That means your track will measure louder than it sounds, and you don't want that. So just in case, add a high cut filter at 20 kHz to your track in mastering. The last thing I want to talk about is the playback system, so the system where people listen to the music on Spotify. I think most people don't have a linear listening system, so their listening system has also their own frequency response. How does that correlate to loudness? Well, if a track has more energy in the frequencies that your listening system lifts, then the track will sound louder. And it works also the other way around. If your listening system lacks some of the frequencies in the spectrum and a track has much energy in exactly these frequencies, then your track will sound quieter. The loudness algorithm of online streaming platforms of course cannot take into account all the different listening situations all over the world. So there you have it. This is my take on mastering for Spotify, YouTube and other online platforms. I hope you have learned something today. Leave me a comment if you have any question, and as always, subscribe to this channel and see you next time. Bye.